Alright, should we start now?
Yeah, we already did start.
Well, now we're starting because I put the time.
Oh, okay, great.
So I know. So I guess we are going to, well, we technically did make a part 2. But it was really bad.
It was really bad, and we were angry, honestly.
Well, and the sound was absolutely awful, so I'm really hoping the sound is better.
The sound is still going to be awful, but...
Better than that.
Okay.
That was extremely bad.
Mm-hmm.
Reg, you want to come up? Oh.
Good boy.
You're the guest.
Here's our guest, Ragnar.
Yep.
Lothbrok Borio. He enjoys pets. He likes his mom and dad, his mom more.
I don't know.
And he likes his grandparents.
He does.
He loves his Uncle Kevin.
He does.
And all his nieces.
And a good ear scratch. All right.
And he likes AWALK.
Yep.
But we can't say the word because he'll
get way too excited.
He'll smell blood in the water.
And then we'll feel bad.
Right, right, buddy.
All right, and I wrote some notes down, so this time can be a little bit more
organized. That sounds great.
And we're also going to try not to
introduce each other.
Interrupt each other. And not have really long drawn-out sentences. Sorry, I'm just thinking back to the one that we cut out. It was really bad. So, we're going to do better this time. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep. So it's part 2 of Faithful, Fearless, and Free, which is hard to put into 2 episodes because there's so much to talk about. It's like, when I was writing notes, it was like every point I wrote, I was like, oh, we could have a whole podcast on this point. So I'm trying to, narrow it down a little bit, but it's hard.
Yeah, they do all tie together, but it is 3 different things, and,
yeah, but that's
hard
okay.
to put into one little thing.
Yeah.
But...
So
And what was the psalm again? 62? I think it was 62.
Yeah, I think it was 62. I actually...
Yeah, for God alone.
Yeah. So what I started out saying last time was that it's either you trust God or you don't. There's no... you either believe in his promises or you don't. Like, you can't believe in some promises and not others. Or obey him sometimes and not obey him other times. Like, we do that, but we really should strive to be all or nothing. Because if you're not all or nothing, you're lukewarm. And that's the worst.
Right.
He would rather you be nothing than lukewarm.
Right. If you're picking and choosing when you're a Christian and when you follow Jesus and when you follow yourself or what the world says, that's who Jesus wants to spit out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And he'd rather you choose one side, because I think part of it is because you're teaching others and showing others. You're mocking. You're being a hypocrite.
Yeah.
It's exactly what everything he said about the Pharisees is what he would say about lukewarm Christians, because they show me with their on the outside. They show others on the outside that they're such great followers. But when I talk to them one-on-one, either they never talk to me one-on-one, or they're basically wiping their ass with my name,
Right.
Which I really don't want to do. If you fear God, you don't want to do that.
Right. It's a straight-up mockery. And we're relating that to fearless, faithful, and free because... Faithful, fearless, and free. Because you can't experience those things if you are choosing to be lukewarm. And I want to do a whole episode on being lukewarm too, because I see it everywhere.
And we were it.
Yes. And
it was hell.
It was what?
It was hell.
Yeah.
Literally, it was hell.
That is what hell is, being separate from
But yeah, it's fearless because when you are only putting on a show. I mean, the anxiety that you have when so Satan is an accuser and he reminds you of everything bad you've done. And if you're all about appearances, you're trying to, so Satan's accusing you, like, look at all this poop you have to cover up. And so you try to cover it up. You try to whitewash it with your works, with your words, with what people think of you. And that competition is something that is extremely, like, enslaving. You're not free. It takes over all your thoughts. You're trying to think of, like, well, what's going to happen next if I help this person do this, and then I'll be higher in their mind, and maybe God will look favorably on that, and forget about the other little thing. Like, it's nothing like that, and we'll talk. I mean, it all really comes down to how you view your life. It's bigger.
I know. That's
we'll talk about. I know. Yeah. So let's go back to whatever your outline says.
Yeah. So the first thing I said is he promises to take care of us. Like, when you promise something human to human, you should try to keep that promise, but a lot of times we break it. But when you're making a promise with the creator of the universe, like, that is the biggest deal. And when he makes a promise to you, like, that should be looked at as, I have nothing to fear in that. Whatever the creator of the universe promised me that. Like, what do I have to fear? And I'm going to talk about promises.
Or even that he's even just talking to me. Like,
yeah.
When you're reading, if you're just reading the Word, if you're reading the Bible, that alone should put you on your knees.
Yeah, but he actually cares.
Yeah, and I had this, like, even all growing up, I think deep down I really had this, like, little superiority complex where I felt like, of course he talks to me. I deserve it.
Well, this is all we know. And until you experience, like, something spiritual, you can't grasp the fact that, okay, you really are nothing. You're so little. Like, but
you could be.
The fact that God, the creator of the universe, the creator of everything, died for you and made you a new creation, you are something beautiful now. He created you to be something completely different. And that's a promise, he says.
Right. So who do you say God is? Who do you say Jesus is?
Yeah.
And then what does he say about you?
Yeah.
Those are kind of like the steps to being faithful and being fearless and being free.
Yeah. And I just wanted to read some of the promises, because once you can finally listen to those promises and repeat them to yourself, like, we have promises all over this house, like little post-it notes I wrote to remind us. Like, you need to remind yourself, which I'm going to talk about in a second, but sorry, I think I have a Ragnar hair in my eye. But some promises...
Hold on, but the reason you need to repeat it to yourself is because you're not going to understand it in your heart and in your soul, and it's not going to like, rework your thinking unless you repeat it to yourself. And some of the ways I have a section on that later, but about, like, the brain pathways. Like, you can create a new pathway once you repeat something to yourself over and over. But I have something on that in a second. But some of the promises, and these are just promises of taking care of us. There's so many other promises, but like, the Bible is full of promises. But like Jeremiah 29:11-14 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And Philippians 4:19, "You can be sure that God will take care of everything you need. His generosity exceeds even ours in the glory that pours from Jesus." Matthew 25-26, "Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing?
Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet their heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And the last one, Matthew 6:33. Seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's, what did I say, 4 verses? Or 4 passages?
It's only 4, yeah.
The Bible is full of them.
Mm-hmm.
And God's telling us over and over, like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you this, and I want you to believe it full-heartedly.
Mm-hmm. And what you think you need, if you're not a believer and you hear that, don't think that you're gonna get, like, you don't need anything.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I used
like
to.
when you start to, when the Holy Spirit starts to rework your heart and your mind, you learn that what you need is salvation, and that's the only thing you need. Salvation from sin. And you can't even see the sin unless the Lord reveals it to you through his law, right? And his word. And so as you relate with Jesus, he starts to show you what you need, and you know, and all these things will be added unto you. What verse is that? Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. I think it's the Beatitudes, and right before that is when Jesus was talking about the food and the clothing and the shelter, and all those things will be added on. Like, all those things are just add-ons. Like those things aren't even like, God doesn't even have to try to provide those things for you. Yeah. God tried really hard to provide what you actually needed, which is salvation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if I said this verse, but I forget what verse it actually is, but I grew up my whole life thinking, okay, well, this verse says, ask and you will receive.
Mm-hmm. I want a car.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, I want whatever. It could literally be anything. And I was like, why don't I get the things I ask for?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well,
I want a pony.
Yeah.
God, I really want a pony.
But when you're
for my
with the
birthday.
Lord, you don't, like, there's some stuff, if he wants you to have it, he will put that on your heart. But the things that you wanted, that he's like, look, it's not good for you to have for your benefit. So I will take that want, that desire away from you, and then you don't want it anymore.
Yeah, the whole verse, the verse amazing. That says, yeah, it is. The verse that says he will give you the desires of your heart. That was interpreted for me when I was younger as, like, he'll give you what you want.
Yeah.
But no, I think what that verse actually means is he'll make you desire what he wants. You know, he will give you the desires of your heart. Not like before you're changed, what your heart desires is death, destruction, disease. You don't know that until he reveals it to you.
But anyone listening that's like, oh, I'm not down with that. That feels uncomfortable. I don't.
It totally is.
It is.
Yeah.
But when he actually changes your heart, just imagine, say you really want this car or something, a car really bad. There's nothing that can compare to that car. You want that so bad. Mm-hmm. Imagine your mind all of a sudden, and this happened for me with a few things. Like, literally, I was praying, and in a snap, in a second, my mind completely changed around. It was very supernatural. But all of a sudden, you don't want that car anymore, or you don't care.
Yeah.
And mine wasn't a car. Like, I'm not a car person, but I don't even remember what it was. But it's like, if you don't want something anymore, you don't want it. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but he will put the desires he has for you in your heart, so you want them.
Right.
He doesn't want you to spend your whole life like, oh, I really want that. Okay, God, give me whatever you want. If you're in tune with him, he wants your life to be joyful, and joyful is wanting what he wants. That is joy.
Mm-hmm. And it also goes the other way. Like, if you are, man, I really want steady income, which is a fine desire to have, but like, if you wanting that causes worry and anxiety and doubt and like cursing God, which it definitely can do if you're, well, if your wanting brings about those feelings, then you know you're not in tune. You know,
Yeah.
you know that he's not giving you those desires. You're giving yourself those desires, or the world is giving you those desires. You're being told what to want.
Yeah.
You know?
That's another topic I want to talk about sometime is prayer. When you pray, oh Lord, please give me this job. It's like, pray that, Lord,
Yeah.
give me the desire that you want. If
Right.
you don't want me to get this job and I don't get this job, give me joy in that.
Yeah.
Not give me this job. Like,
Lord,
I prayed that way my entire life until it was like
Yep.
2 years.
Yeah.
It's like, no, Lord, give me the desire that what you want for me, and give me joy in whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, when
kind of getting
and
off
like
topic.
but like family's always like, oh hey, I'm going in for an interview or something. Pray for me.
It's like
like, who do you think God is?
It's like if
a
that's
gumball
taking
machine.
God, a vending machine. Yeah, it's like you can. He
like,
wants.
Oh,
you
I
to
need
ask.
something. Let me ask God.
Yeah,
like,
he wants you
do
to
you
ask
ask
for
him
those
every
things,
day
though, too. He does. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I'm not. I'm doing a really. I think I'm
You
doing a
are
really
doing-
good job.
No,
not
you are.
interrupting
You are. I was just getting excited. You go ahead. Finish your thought if you remember it. God's not a vending machine.
Yeah, he's not a vending machine. Like, okay, like, and I'm not trying to be judgmental. It's just like, maybe if we heard, hey guys, I'm really struggling with something right now. Can you just pray for me? I don't really want to talk about it, but can you pray that I feel the joy of the Lord right now? Like, I don't know, just asking for prayer when you want some candy is.
Yeah.
And when you're close to him, getting a job is just like, oh, like, you know, when your mom put an extra Reese's in your lunch when you were in elementary school, like getting a job or getting the car you want is just like that. It's just like a little bonus add-on.
Yeah.
Right.
Because your joy comes from
him. Like, do you wake up every day and ask for him first?
Yeah, right. That's a big thing.
That's like the thing.
Yeah.
If you wanted to say one work that would, you know, be a good work. It's just asking for him. It's the only, and you know, atheists like to say, or even other like New Age people, very spiritual people like to say, well, I mean, there's no moral thing that you can do believing Jesus is God that I can't do believing Jesus isn't God. And like, the truth is, as Christians, the only moral thing a human can do is say that Jesus is Lord. Like, even when you try to do something good without saying Jesus is Lord, out of worship with Jesus, and you can be a Christian and be out of step with Jesus.
Very much so.
All your good works are actually to serve yourself, you know?
Yeah.
I forget why I said that.
We are getting a little off topic. It's all good topics.
Okay.
It's just,
but even the good you do.
Forever.
Oh, right. So the one good work you can do, like if you want to do good works, if you're like really stuck on that, start with every day asking, hey, Jesus, things aren't very comfortable right now, but I'm choosing to ask for you. I got to tell you, God, I really want this job that I'm interviewing for. I really want comfortable, steady income, because, you know, and you can word it however you want to. Like, oh, I can volunteer more at church, and you know, now you're trying to earn God's favor.
You're making it sound
like, ask for Him. Just make a practice of solely asking for Him, and all these things will be added unto you, and that's a promise.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a promise.
And I want to say, like, also, you can say whatever you want. He knows your heart. So, like,
right,
if you're
right,
trying to cover it up, he can see
yeah.
through. But what I was gonna say is, I don't want it to come across that we can't ask for something.
Right.
Like, I just had an example recently where I was dog sitting last week, and, you know, we're struggling with some stuff right now, and I was praying about it, and I was like, do you even care about these little things? Like, is this trivial? Like, it doesn't matter. And I'm a big swimmer. I love just being in water. It does something to me. And
you're a big swimmer.
I love swimming. And just, yeah, anyway, so
Okay,
when I
babe?
was sitting there and I was praying, he made me realize, like, he stopped me. He was like, Alysha, look what I'm doing for you. I'm giving you this entire week dog sitting, the most beautiful weather we've had
You get
in a
to
long
pool,
time.
you get to sunbathe.
Yeah, I just get
like,
to chill at a pool for a few hours a day while watching these dogs, and
yeah.
I care about these little things. I want you to come to me about these little things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to go into what I was praying for at the moment, but
But like God was like, I gave you this. Can't you just enjoy this for a second?
that
Not
also,
in
like,
that nasty tone, but like,
yeah. But I'm saying that he was doing it in a way of like, ask me for these little things. I want you. Like, I care about these little things that you love and these little things that you do.
because I gave you that.
Yeah. So you can ask for things that you want, but you can't, you shouldn't just ask for it and then that's it. Like, say, Lord, look, I really want this, but if you want me to look at things differently or you don't want me to get this, then please make that my desire, because that's what I want.
Like, put yourself in the shoes of God.
Yeah.
What if I'd wake up, do my own thing, and then go, okay, babe, sexy time. Let's go. I need it right now.
Yeah.
And then, okay, babe, dinner right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't talk to you throughout the day. I come home. Give me my food.
Yeah.
Give me my food. I want sexy time again. All right, good night.
Yep.
Can you imagine what kind of relationship we'd have?
It would be real bad.
Yeah.
It would be real bad.
Well, you would feel like crap.
Yeah.
And you're treating God like crap when you treat him like that.
Yeah. Yep.
You don't actually love him. You love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people, the whole sinner's prayer kind of, like in people's minds, it justifies them to act like that because they already prayed the sinner's prayer and they have salvation. They don't need anything else from God, so I'm just going to tap into God to get what I want.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but if you're focused on what you want and your plan for your life, then you are not with him.
Right.
You're not. You're on the broad road that leads to destruction.
I just want to go back to the promises, like finding, like, having freedom in him, which that all leads to freedom anyway. But what I was saying in my notes, I said, if you believe those promises, you can't half believe them. You have to believe them fully, or you do not believe them at all. You either believe everything Jesus said, or you believe that he is a liar. That is it. There is no in between. And if you believe those promises from the creator of the universe, okay? Like, you can believe them, and you should, but if you believe them fully, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Nothing.
And nothing to fear.
Nothing to fear. Not like, well, yeah, okay, God's going to take care of me, but if I lose my job, I got to really try to get a job. I got to struggle hard. Like, that's my duty. That's my responsibility.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and not to say you shouldn't put in effort. Like,
right.
The Lord can't.
But making it your responsibility, your...
putting it on your shoulders.
Yes, yes.
It's on me to provide for my family.
I can't relax until this happens, and people are stressed out and freak out when things like that happen, and it's like, well, then you're not believing his word. Right. And you will have moments of when that happens, fear and anxiety, and that's fine. We're human. Like, I'm not saying, and there's no way that I do this.
Yeah, we go through the flames.
Yeah.
We go through the fire and the flames.
But to remind yourself, like, wait, Alysha, stop. If you believe in God, then you need to believe that he will take care of you, and you have absolutely nothing to worry about. And those, like I said, 4 verses.
But when you find yourself that you are worrying or have anxiety, then that's your like cue to, okay, let me open the word and remind my heart and my soul to bless the Lord, give thanks, to rejoice, and that's a discipline. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah, you have to practice.
Yeah.
But this, I'm just going to read what I wrote because I think it's kind of good. But said we can find full freedom in those promises. So many Christians hear or read his promises and don't really think much of it. It's easy to bypass and disregard them when you're so focused on yourself and what you can do for yourself. You hear it, okay, God, yeah, he'll do that, but I still need to do this. I still need to make sure things are okay. Things in my relationships are good. It's all on me. And I said, if the creator of all things says he has a promise for you, then you can fully trust in them to be true. Not partially true, not only true if you take some control of the situation, fully 100% undeniably true. You either believe it or you don't. You can't pick and choose. Like, and I'm kind of repeating myself, I sound like a broken record, but I really don't know many people who believe that, who live their life of like, look, when things happen, I'm just going to say, Lord, I'm scared, but okay, take the wheel, and it is what it is, and you are going to lead me. You promise to take care of me.
Yeah, maybe not personally, but
I know.
But also, you don't know people's hearts.
Yeah. I know. It's just living it out loud. I don't see it too often.
But like and we know of people, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying there's nobody.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's. I would love, the more I'm learning about this, the more
I'd love to be surrounded by people like that.
I don't see this that often.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard. It is not easy.
No. No.
Yeah. So, but then the next thing I was like, but he also says over and over again that in order to receive that true freedom, that you need to put him first. And that's kind of what we were talking about. Where if there's other things in your life that come before him, super easy things, finances, your job, your family, your kids. Your kids are a big one. Your spouse is a big one. There's so many things in life that easily creep their way up. And, you know, if there's situations where you might have to have a rocky relationship for a little bit if you're putting God first, like you might have to stop some relationships for a little while because.
Well, you have to start saying no.
Yeah.
To things that tear you up spiritually. Yeah.
If God is the most important thing in your life, and there's people in your life that are, I don't know, just disobeying that, or there's so many different ways it can happen. But if you're like, well, I care about my relationship more, or I care about my finances more, I can't quit this job because they're making me do something I don't believe in. I need money.
Or I'm more worried about what my kids think of me, or what my mom and dad think of me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that's an idol. And it's not, you know, that doesn't come from a heart of accusation. It's you can't know how like oppressed you are by your parents' expectations of you until you start saying no to them. Whether it looks good or bad, just say no so that you can examine yourself and like, is this really what the Lord wants from me, or am I under this oppression to maintain this, either, you know, my parents, how good my parents look to the other people at church, or how, you know, what my parents think of me depends all on what I do. Like that's really oppressive. That's slavery right there. So we had to take a little break for the game.
Yeah, took a break for the game. Eagles game. They won. It was fun. Now it's dark, and that's why things look a little bit different. Yeah. So
where were we again? Where were we?
Well, we were just saying making things an idol, and how when you do that, it's really hard to experience who God truly is.
Oh, and like saying no to things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if God, I think what you're saying is like, if God asks you to cut off something, you know, if it's secular music, or, you know, something that you think you have a good grasp on and you have it under control, and
or that it's something good.
Or it could be something good. Like, what? Something that you think is good. What do you mean? Like, give an example of that.
Just say you providing for your family.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and if God calls you to something else. Like, people get called to the mission field out of, like, I was, you know, you hear stories, I was a big-time Wall Street guy. felt the Lord called me to missions and whatever, and they did it, and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But those are the stories you hear of when they listen and obey, but you don't hear the stories like, and you have to ask yourself, like, Lord, what, like, God asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac,
his son.
Yeah, your only son.
Mm-hmm.
God even says, Isaac, your only son or your firstborn, which neither of those are true, because he had Ishmael before Isaac. Or maybe God said the one who I'm going to bless you thing. I don't know. But it wasn't just take your son Isaac. There was a little bit of a exclamation point on it. And take him up to the mountain and sacrifice him there for me.
Yeah. That is the perfect example of this.
Right. And you would think, well, there's no way God would ask me to kill my son. But Abraham knew the voice of the Lord because he was a sheep and listened to God
mm-hmm.
and knew his voice. And something we would think is totally ridiculous. So, like, you have to look in your life, like, what do I thank God for and count as a blessing from him?
Yeah.
But would not be able to do without. Like, I could not serve God if he took away my house,
mm-hmm.
or if he told me to sell my house.
Yeah.
And give it to the poor. Like, God, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going to live? Or
that's so
what
true.
if God told me to, and we grew up in such a God is now silent and doesn't speak except for the written word on the page.
Right.
We grew up in that whole environment, and what we just said does not make any sense. But, like, how can you read the stories of the Old Testament, especially, and what God asked of those people,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole life of Abraham. Hey, Abraham, I know you're really comfortable where you're living with your family and everything in the land of Ur, and you've amassed yourself some pretty significant wealth, but I need you to pack up everything and go somewhere.
Yeah.
Not even go to this spot. God says, pack up your things and go to a land I will give you. Okay, God, what exactly do you mean by that? Like, maybe if you gave me some, like, if we map quested it and you gave me half of the directions, or maybe if it was like a little code I had to figure out, at least give me something.
Yeah.
At least give me like a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And God did give him a picture, but it was after he said yes. He's like, hey, Abraham, on his way. It's like, Abraham, look at the stars. That's going to be your descendants. And at the time, Abraham was like over 80 years old or something like that. So, but like, what has God blessed me with that now I'm so attached to? And this is like Satan's tactic, to take what God says.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And twist it just a little bit so that you're serving Satan instead of God.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Satan tempted Jesus,
Yeah.
So like God says you are a chosen people, and people take that as, I am a chosen person,
Yeah.
And it's all in the heart, and that ties into like sowing the seed and the kind of soil you are, and we can go in. I'm sure we'll go into all those in the future. But yeah, do I put anything before the Lord, and is it even something seemingly harmless?
Well, that's when you think of idols. Well, some people literally think of an actual idol, like in the Bible, like a golden calf or something. Or it could be like too much TV watching, or drinking, or things that people can put a negative twist on. It's like, okay, well, yeah, that's an idol. That's not good. Mm-hmm. Money, whatever.
Yeah, gambling, sports.
Yeah.
Did you say sports? Well,
Sports.
then I officially add to the list.
Sports.
Yeah.
But that's how sneaky Satan is and conniving. When he takes blessings from God and makes you think, I can't live without this thing.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like, I love God and all, but like if my job was taken from me, if there's a relationship in my life that I needed to, like, it wasn't good and I needed to fix it, something was not right, but it could cause issues in that relationship, but God's telling me to, and I'm like, I can't risk that relationship.
Some parents just watch their kids go down self-destructive paths and almost encourage them to, like, defend what relationship they have with their kids. Like, the thought of, you hear all the time, not all the time, but like a lot of like older, back in the day, families were much more about prestige, or not just prestige, but like honor, like family honor. And if anyone would dishonor the family name so much,
Yeah.
they'd get disowned. And now we've kind of pulled, it's not like it was unforgiving. Like, there's always, like, the prodigal son, never, when he wanted to come back, he was welcome back. You know. But like, we have compromised so much, and by we I mean the American church. We just keep ceding ground to Satan to, like, attack us.
Yeah.
And like, now it's like, oh well, I don't want to hurt their feelings, so if they you know, if they're drinking too much, or if they are like, if I feel weird when they're gossiping around me, I'm not gonna say anything to them. I'm just gonna quietly not participate and then talk about it, gossip about it to other people. But
yeah, and it's hard, like, telling somebody that, you know, you shouldn't be gossiping, you shouldn't be talking about that person.
yeah, like, hey, don't you think that's too many? You know.
Yeah.
Or, hey, do you have control of yourself? You know.
And all that is, you know.
And I definitely needed to hear that multiple
gosh.
times in my life.
Yeah.
And I wish that did happen.
Because in hindsight, you look back and you're like,
yeah,
I wish people told me, or told me sooner, or whatever. Yeah. But all of those things lead.
Well, and what you think is, I wish people cared enough about me to be able to say that.
Yeah.
So, when you don't say something that you should, that means you care more about yourself.
Your image, people pleasing.
Yeah.
And again, that all leads back to...
That's something we had to repent from.
Oh, yeah.
Us.
And that's an idol, what people think of you.
Yeah.
That's a major idol for a lot of people. I think our generation, especially, for some reason, we really hold on to that.
Yeah.
It's like the way we were brought up and stuff, but, you know, that can get into a whole... like I said, this topic.
Yeah, examining yourself, that's a whole, there's a whole other topic there,
but it's just, if you aren't willing to live without something, even if it's a blessing from God, and if you don't tell yourself, and it's very hard, it's not something that just happens, oh yeah, all I need is Jesus, like, you have to work on it. But like Abraham, the reason he could do that is because he knew Jesus so well. Like, God doesn't expect us to just give up everything we have and expect us not to be upset about it. Like, he understands it's going to be hard for us, but...
Like, what do you let happen to Job, for instance?
Yep. But he chooses people, like, he knows that with his freedom, those things are so much easier. They're not easy, but because really, he is the only thing we need. The only thing. There is nothing else
under any circumstance.
Under any circumstances. He is the only thing we need. And when he's the only thing we need, we have the freedom to be like, okay, God, like... I
can go out on a limb.
Yeah. Because you promised to take care of me. Right,
and not to, like, test him, but...
Well, he does say to test him sometimes.
Yeah. But, like, not, like, you know... And I mean, fully rely on God. In order to fully rely on God, in order to fully rely on God. You never saw that?
No.
Oh, in like the 90s, it was a thing. Fully rely on God. Frog.
Oh, maybe I
I
have
saw
a
magnets and
shirt
stuff. Yeah. Oh,
and
okay.
on
Yeah.
t-shirts. I feel like, okay, yeah. That's funny. But yeah.
But full like if you're to fully rely on God, you gotta kind of look silly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
You have to look different.
You have to look very different because the world is so opposite of that if you look like the world, you're probably not fully relying
There's
on
so
him.
many other structures we have, especially at this time in this place, to fully rely on for our needs and wants, that it's almost like we haven't left any room for God. So you have to deprive yourself of something.
Yeah.
You have to.
And I don't remember if I said this earlier today, but that we have Bible verses like all taped all over the house.
I think you said that. The promises.
Same. You, in order to do this, because this is not something you're just going to gain. I mean, God can do whatever, change your heart in every way instantly. But for the most part, you're going to have to work on it. And like Tim Keller says with wisdom, like you need to work on your wisdom. You need to always be trying to learn more and always be sharpen yourself all the time. Always be in the Word, always talking to Jesus. And these things will become easier to you. And you remember all the promises or all the things that he provided for you in just your life, let alone the Bible, going through how all of his promises came true. Every single thing. There's so many examples. But he gives us those examples for us, for humans, because he knows how hard it is. Like, we look at a negative situation and only rely on that and only remember that when there's so much good that he's done. He wants us to repeat that to ourselves, because then we get, that's what I was going to say, those brain waves. When you repeat something to yourself over and over again, you create a new pathway in your brain. And so when you start to think negatively, like we might talk about this later, but I had a way that I was thinking, and anytime a situation would come up, I would think that specific way, and I had to stop myself. When I would feel myself thinking that negative thought, I'd be like, no.
Like a train on a track, you gotta bust it off.
You have to create a new pathway. So if you're always reminding yourself of Jesus's promises, they will more naturally come to you over time. Yeah. Because you're creating that pathway of always thinking about them. And the more you think about them, the more they become easier to believe, and the more you notice, like, oh wait, everything Jesus said in my life, it's coming true. These promises, like, he's taken care of me in every way. He's provided for me. Yeah. And it might be hidden to you right now because you're not focusing on it. But again, the creator of the universe made promises to you, and they are happening if you accept them, and they will happen. And you have absolutely nothing to worry about. It's hard to grasp, but
it's hard to break free from worry and anxiety. Yep. Because you're trained so well that way. Even just worrying about keeping up with the Joneses, it's a very American thing. But that really tears some people up, And in the Christian church, people do it not based on like worldly objects, but based on good works, Yeah. Like, they think they're storing up for themselves treasures in heaven by doing all these works, and I'm only saying this because, like, personally, this was me. But really, I was like filling up my own cup so I could measure it up against other people's,
Yeah. And there's all these little things that you don't notice are becoming idols in your life, and they're tearing you down. And we have just started to experience the freedom that Jesus, and I don't even think we've hit, like, we're never going to fully experience it on earth. Like, there's so much but I think we just dipped our toe into the freedom, and we're blown away by that. And it's like, how do I get so wrapped up in these worldly things when I know, like, for example, one time we were really worried about money recently, just because God's leading us in one way that we're like, how is this going to work out? But he's providing for us. But anyway, I was going to the bank to, like, transfer money over or something, and you were really worried, and I
was worried it wasn't going to happen in time, I think.
But overall, you were just worried, like,
Oh,
we're not
yeah,
going to be able to
totally.
pay
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And I was in the car thinking, okay, why aren't I worried about this? And I was actually getting upset at myself. Like, Alysha, you need to be more concerned about this. This isn't good. But I couldn't get myself to be worried. I tried to talk myself into being worried, but I was praying at the same time. And God was like, no, you stepped into my freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So now you are going to be free. Even when worldly things don't make sense, I'm not going to allow you to worry and to suffer and to have all these things because you don't need to. I have it taken care of.
Yeah, you've given it all to me. So.
Why would I allow you to worry about something that is literally pointless because I have it taken care of?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, thank you. I'm a little freaked out, but
yeah.
I'm
but
not
some
doing
people
this.
might
This is
think,
supernatural.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But some people might think that, like, because you're not worrying about it, that means you're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
And that's just wrong.
Yeah. Because that's what
like,
God
if anything,
wants
I'm doing more about it now. Because before I was limited by my own abilities.
Yep.
Now, like, the Lord is completely unlimited. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Despite me.
And
like, if you're hearing that for the first time, your knee-jerk reaction might be, what? That's stupid. But, like, read your Bible.
Yeah, it's all there.
God, like, look at all the judges. They all were trash humans, for the most part. Called out of pits. Called out of... he called Joseph out of being a whiny, bratty son and brother. He called Gideon out of the bottom of, like, a wine press or something because he was hiding. Because he was a coward.
Yeah, right.
He took a prostitute out of Jericho. Countless times that God did, what was irrational or not the way I would have done it.
Yeah. And it, like you said,
if I were in charge,
yeah,
he would be getting the death penalty, and it's like, whoa, dude, like, or man.
Yeah. And what you said before with people say, like, in my situation, like, how are you not? That's irresponsible.
You need to be stressed out now.
That's irresponsible.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if you claim to be a believer, and I claim to be a believer for most of my life, and I didn't believe this until recently. Really, truly, I didn't believe it at all. And it's like, if the Bible says, even just if there was only one verse in the Bible that said, God will take care of you, you need
no
not
matter
worry.
what. Period.
No matter what. That's enough. But the fact that it repeats it 100 times over, and even on my arm.
And gives you tons of stories, and
yeah. She clothes herself with strength and dignity and laughs without fear of the future, meaning
that's a godly woman.
I can enjoy life and not have to worry.
Yeah.
That's what he says, and
right.
I either believe it or I don't. I either accept Jesus' promises to me and who he is, or I don't.
Yeah, and you're secure. So you can... It's only in knowing that you're secure can you take those leaps of faith, Yeah. Like, I know what God says, and if you find your security in that instead of your situation, your situation could change in a heartbeat. Like, like, I don't know, maybe there could be an outbreak of some kind of sickness that no one knows about, and everyone has to stay in their house for 2 weeks.
Yep.
At the drop of a hat, and then you lose your income, and you don't, in the grocery store, instead of running out of toilet paper, this time they ran out of eggs and milk.
Right.
And people are literally beating each other up to buy eggs. That can happen.
That can happen. Anything is possible.
You saw it happen with toilet paper.
Yeah.
You see it happen with PlayStation. What is it, PS5 now?
I don't know.
So something stupid like that. Imagine if it was food people were fighting over. We'd be killing each other at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And see, that's a structure that we take for granted. And the Lord put us in some really comfortable systems that we're in right now.
Everything's provided.
And we're very thankful for it. But you need to understand that that's how the Lord is providing for you. That's not how you're providing for yourself.
Yeah.
And committing it to him giving him all your burdens, because that's what he says.
Yeah.
You know, and like if you have like people justify it by calling it like pet sins, you know, like, oh yeah, I worry about whatever. He asks for it all, so give it all.
The petty things, everything, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And the cool thing is, because you were saying how stuff on Earth is so fragile, like nothing is
It really
set in
is.
stone. Even nothing.
Right.
You might feel like it's strong,
Mhm.
but the past couple years,
Yeah.
everything
And you don't
want to
have, and like with the train track thought brain thing,
Yeah.
you don't want to have those too rigid,
Yeah.
because it can.
But I was going to say the one
Yeah.
thing
Sorry.
that we can count on is that God is consistent and he's always the same and he never changes. And if you're going to build your house on anything, it has to be that. Because if you want something that you can fully rely on and you know without a shadow of a doubt, doesn't matter what happens, apocalypse, zombies, doesn't matter, you are going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else that
Yeah.
provides that. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He's
And
not changing.
yeah, and that's what fuels being able to be compassionate. Because when poop
Yeah.
does hit the fan, like during the Black Death, like
That
the
sounds
bubonic.
worse. I'm saying when shit hits the fan, when poop hits the fan.
Did you say the S word?
Yeah.
But like during the bubonic plague, it was only Christians who were taking care of the sick, because they had that knowledge.
Yeah.
And you know, back then during the Middle Ages when that happened, they had a very different view of history and the future and everything, and they really understood that God purchased their future. If I can explain it real quick, they saw that but the pinnacle of all of history was Jesus dying on the cross and rising again from the dead. Where today in America, and most people would think that the pinnacle of like the glory of mankind is in the future sometime. We just got to get things right.
Yeah.
We got to fix poverty. We got to fix homelessness. We got to fix these things, and then we'll be in the glory days of humanity, the glory time of humanity, you know. But in the Middle Ages, they understood worshiping God. They understood sacrifice. They understood servanthood, because they knew they were always looking, keeping their eyes fixed on Jesus. They were always looking back as the glory of humanity was died on the cross for my sins, you know. Where now we worship man. We worship man now.
So it's flat.
So the timeline is now flat. We're always looking forward.
Yeah.
To what's next, you know, and trying to fix all these problems. But yeah, anyway. Understanding that you cannot fail. Your future has been purchased,
cool.
and you cannot fail because Jesus died on the cross.
Yep.
And rose again from the dead. I cannot fail.
I love that
I'm an
quote.
overcomer. Not to call in that song.
Ugh. No, please.
But that corny song. But it's true. You're an overcomer. He has conquered the world. We're more, and now we are more than conquerors, is what Paul says. So it's that knowledge of always remembering that our future was paid for and we cannot fail.
Yeah. And if you're in tune with Jesus, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're in tune with Jesus, you're not going to go think, oh yeah, I'm going to go murdering someone's fine. Like, if you're in tune with Jesus, you're going to want to stay on the path of him. But like what Tim Keller said, that sermon that I absolutely love, I forget the name, but he was going to go start the church in New York, in Manhattan.
Your plans, God's plans.
Yeah. And
you should look it up on YouTube if you haven't listened to it.
Really
it's called
good.
Your Plans, God's Plans.
It's one of my favorite
by
sermons
Tim
ever.
Keller.
But he
R.I.P.
says that when he was starting his church, I think he was actually in Pennsylvania, but when he was starting, he wanted to start his church.
I think it was like Glenside. Oh, well, the seminary isn't. Okay, go ahead.
We have a few minutes. So he, people were like, well, how do you know? Did God actually tell you to do this? Like, is this was it like divine?
Yeah, did he drop a
Like,
pigeon drop a note for you or
yeah.
something?
And he goes, no, I don't know if this is, I don't know. This is what God wants me to do. But I am in tune with Jesus, and I have faith, and I love him. And no matter what I do, if I fail, good. If I succeed, good. It doesn't matter because I am taken care of. And yes, he was doing something very specific, church Christianity, but it doesn't even need to be that. Like with us, we're doing what we think God is leading us to do. Or even if we didn't think he was leading us to lead an abnormal
like your
life.
number one concern should be, am I walking with the Lord? That's it.
Yep. And if that's your top priority every day, whatever you do, you're going to do stuff with Jesus, and you're fine.
Yeah. And if anything is keeping you from walking with Jesus, you need to cut it off.
Yeah.
If you actually care.
Do you know how much freedom? Like, do you know how great that is?
Yeah.
To be experiencing the fact of like, oh, if I don't even have a productive day, or if just knowing that no matter what I do, if I do it with him, I'm good. Do you know what freedom that brings? That's crazy. It sounds absolutely crazy, but it's absolutely true. And that's really cool.
And the gospel is countercultural no matter what earthly culture it's presented to.
Yeah.
Which is, are we good?
A minute.
Okay. But yeah, the gospel is countercultural to no matter, to any culture. There's like, we might think because in America it's God's chosen country, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. But we should have stopped earlier.
It's okay. This is good.
What was I saying? I don't even know.
We over talked, like we said, we repeated.
But it's countercultural, even in America.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good one. That's a good last line. Okay.
That's good.
All right.
Good.